The purpose of today's video is to show you how you can find out nothing less than the truth about yourself, and in fact to show you how my former employer McKinsey & Company helped me in that mission, and to instruct you on how you can replicate the same method to find out the truth about yourself. Now, what is the truth? I do not want to engage in hyper-philosophical discussions in this video, but you will be aware that what you think is the truth about yourself may be an incomplete view and potentially hold you back. We all suffer from certain blind spots. We all have qualities that others do admire, but that we do not anymore value or even notice because they have become so common to ourselves. And even worse, we have certain weaknesses that we ourselves do not recognize, but which make others doubt our competence. These blind spots are dangerous because they may hold you back in your development just because you're not aware that they exist. Unfortunately, the fellow human beings we hang out with often do not tell us if they observe something questionable about us, often because they do not want to hurt us or they are concerned to embarrass us. To give you an example, let us assume you're about to give a dinner speech. You stand up, rehearsing what you're about to say, and deliver your beautiful speech. Unfortunately, the zipper of your pants is right open. Everybody notices, but nobody would notify you about it in order not to interrupt or embarrass you, perpetuating your little embarrassment. Okay, so I thought I'd take off my silly dress for now and welcome you back to You in Consulting, where I share my top business and consulting career advice with you. If you like what's coming, please like, subscribe and share. I am Jack and spent 5 years with the world's leading management consulting firm McKinsey & Company and now serve as an independent management advisor. The example I just gave you was a one-time thing without consequences, but there are more serious blind spots about your character or about your communication skills that may hold you back for years in your private life, at university, in your jobs. One way to uncover these blind spots that we all have would be to just proactively ask others. And that is a very cool habit to have actually. Ask your parents, friends and so on about yourself all the time. However, many people who know you less may also be less comfortable to share with you their truth about you, in order not to hurt you, not to embarrass you. At McKinsey, I learned about a really smart approach to resolve this issue, which I now want to share with you so that you can replicate this approach. At one of my McKinsey company trainings, I learned about the so-called 360 degrees survey. A couple of weeks before I attended the training, I was asked to invite virtually all colleagues I had already worked with at the firm, as well as some of my clients. These colleagues got sent a questionnaire with questions about me. And this is important, they submitted their results anonymously. And when I attended the training, I was gifted with a long sheet of results. And I thought before I demonstrate to you how to run such a survey yourself, you may be interested in hearing what McKinsey or my McKinsey colleagues back then really thought about Dr. Jack. So of course McKinsey loves analytics, hence let me guide you through here. So before I invited colleagues and clients to take part in my survey, I had to assess myself on different properties like qualities, personal qualities on a scale from 1 till 5. 1 is a serious flaw, I think I never chose that, to towering strength. And what you can see then that when the answers came in later, they were differentiated for McKinsey leadership, like say partner or junior partner, McKinsey colleague, or also my clients. And then for instance here you can see for coach, as a coach on a team, I put myself as a 5 and others averaged around 4. But what's more interesting is that there's a couple of qualities here where actually I rated myself lower than my colleagues and clients. So say leader of change, team builder, creative innovator, process manager. Even like here I rated myself with a 2 and others rated me at 4. So this is kind of a first indication of hidden strengths. So there were very many of these sheets and I don't want to take you through all of them. But the summary sheet was also very interesting. So here basically you see what others thought were my highest rated competencies. And you see action-oriented, impact driver, determined, courageous, values-driven. It's like a shower of love. And this, of course, is great. What potentially is even more helpful is this hidden strength ranking. You again see this process manager where I rated myself at a 2 against a 4. Team manager, knowledge distributor, mentor and developer of others, determined. So these were actually fields where others thought I was stronger than I had thought myself. And this is in a sense like a positive blind spot. So what I actually found most helpful in this survey were the answers to the free text questions. So for instance here, please identify 1 to 3 ways in which this person is developing and demonstrating distinctiveness. So they just basically asked about my strengths in simple terms. And yeah, I wrote something about myself then. But what did McKinsey Leadership write? So junior partners, partners responsible for my training, development and promotion. Jörg is a powerhouse full of energy and drive. He energizes me. Jörg is genuinely interested to get to know his counterpart. Very good knowledge and problem solving skills. PS is problem solving. Here again, problem solving. Client relationship, great team contributor. Handles ambiguity well. That's interesting because also my McKinsey colleagues on the same level often said that I thrived on projects where stuff was in motion and not clear. And actually it's true. I like these kinds of situations. Very high commitment. Not going into details here, but what I found quite funny that one of my colleagues apparently wrote about my strengths. He devotes his entire life to his projects. Not sure this is actually a good thing or a bad thing. After these showers of love, let's talk about weaknesses. So what, if anything, is preventing this person from fully realizing his or her areas of distinctiveness? What did my McKinsey colleagues say back then about me in this regard? So I wanted to organize this around 2 themes that I recognize. So for instance, they wrote, sometimes being more pragmatic or 80-20 would make a difference on his own lifestyle. Maybe I should one day do a separate video on the 80-20 principle. The idea is that with 20% of your effort, you can often achieve 80% of a result. So the idea is here that the feedback is that I may not have prioritized enough and then just work too hard because I try to do everything instead of prioritizing what really was important. He also works too hard, frequent tendency to boil the ocean, that's another consulting term in this context, rather than pragmatically focusing on the best way to reach the 80% solution within the necessary time frame. This particularly comes through when faced with ambiguity in data or scope. So that I think was the first feedback. Then about the second theme or development goal I observed in here, that was around communication skills. Jörg could benefit from stepping back from details, from communicating more succinctly. Communication, or Jörg could adjust his tone to his audience to make sure he's able to communicate the right key messages. And such feedback that you ought to improve your communication skills is very common for early tenure McKinsey consultants. And actually I've made a video already, one of my favorites on this channel, on how you can significantly improve and practice your communication skills. You'll find it here. If you have any further feedback to share with me on my hidden strengths or blind spots, happily share any feedback with me in the comments. I hope you recognize the value this survey had for me, as well as what value this sort of exercise can create for you. Frankly, you do not need to join McKinsey to replicate this approach. You can set up your own 360-degree survey. And now I want to show you quickly how to do that. For my own first survey, I used actually SurveyMonkey, but I realized by now they have hidden too many features behind the paywall, so I wouldn't recommend it anymore. You can just Google, there's several tools that allow you to carry out these sort of feedback surveys. I now settle with Jotform, and what you can do here, when you kind of just set up your account and so on, when you create a form, start from scratch, you can decide kind of a format, whatever, just check it out for yourself. It's actually very intuitive. And then actually you can build your survey. Just like leave this all now. Blah, blah. Okay, and then actually you can add questions here, headers, like let's say whatever. Let's take the multiple choice, and you just specify it. So this is very intuitive, just do it yourself. I want to show you a survey that I've actually already built to demonstrate for you how this can work. I have actually set up a draft survey here. Don't copy it as such, spend your own thought on it. It's also not totally serious here, just like to show you how this can work. So my survey name is here. May I invite you to help me develop myself? And then first question, like very straightforward. What do you believe are some of my greatest strengths? Because I think these free text answers are most valuable. Then what are things that occasionally irritate you about me, or where do you think I could improve as a person? Please be honest. So also encourage people to really also tell you stuff that may you feel a bit uncomfortable at first. And then kind of spice it up a bit, because maybe people don't just want to write text. Also don't make it too long so that people have an incentive still to participate or don't get discouraged. Which of these professions do you believe may suit me, and where we can basically select ideas that you have in mind that I believe could suit you for a job choice. So check for yourself, or maybe another idea. And also, I mean, here basically I said which of these skills you would recommend me to develop if I only could pick one. So I made I think a limit here. I think actually when you take a survey, you can only pick one of these. You can also have like stuff where you ask people to like in the McKinsey survey, to evaluate you on a range from 1 to 5. In your opinion, how much am I driven in life by these values or goals? That's also an interesting question to ask, because maybe you think you are striving for good, but other people think that maybe you're driven by greed. Who knows, right? So there's also stuff you can ask. Or like a fun question: how much fun am I to be around with? Or how much do you like me on a scale from 1 to 5? You can also add in some fun here. All right, that's also a bit of a play. Once you are done with setting up your survey, you can then just create an invite link, and this you can share with people by email, WhatsApp, or whatever. What I also wanted to show to you is 2 draft submissions I made to myself. So here you just see basically dummy data. What is one of my greatest strengths, my passion, don't worry, be happy. So it doesn't really matter what I wrote, but you can see this is the format, how you are given these results. And you see, you can't see who submitted these data. Of course, you could also add a field inviting people to share their email address for you to get back to them with follow-up questions. I would advise against it, because I think it may ruin the spirit of anonymity. And I just wanted to add that the JotForm in its free version allows you to collect data from 100 participants. I think that's plentiful to start with. I share a link below in the video description. Remember, you can send the survey to pretty much anyone in your life, including people that do not know you very well. Do not discount their opinion as unfounded, because in most cases people need to draw an opinion just after gaining that first impression of you. I recommend you to write a little invite email in which you describe the general idea behind your survey, namely that you want to grow as a person and discover any blind spots that you may have as early as possible. And then of course add the invite link to the email. Many people will respect you for your courage. I would also add an estimate of a number of people that you are going to send this invitation to, so that survey participants are reassured that their identities remain anonymous. Just saying, you can of course create such surveys on any topic that puzzles you. When I first launched my Youent Consulting website, I sent a survey to many friends of mine to ask for initial feedback on my website. At some point I may send you a newsletter email to ask you for feedback about what you like about this channel, what to improve, and what you would like to see next on here. You see, there are endless possibilities to make use of this tool. I hope you feel inspired, and if so, please like, subscribe and share. The 360-degree survey is all about improving yourself in all the activities you do. If you want to become a better student, check out my personal 10 strategies on how to become a top 1% student in this video over here.